Thank you, Mr. Sanjay, for sharing your experience with us. And congratulations once again to BPCL. Now, moving on to our co-winners in this category, Colgate Palmolive.
Just excuse me. Hi, good afternoon. Thanks, Sanjay, once again. I think you made my life very simpler because some of the terms which Rajiv has been using it, I'm sure it was very new to a lot of you guys, and they have become more clearer, and it makes my life simpler that I don't need to spend so much of time on those one. So moving forward, what I'll do is I'll take you through the Colgate journey in terms of how we're moving, how we're planning to move from the manual testing to auto testing. Yeah. Just as information, my background, I'm Rajiv Kumar. I head the governance and risk management category in our global shared service organization in India. We are a global IT organization. We don't have local IT something called the local IT. So we are a global IT, which is Colgate Palmolive Global IT Division. Yeah. This is the agenda which I'm going to cover in terms of the auto testing. We can go through that quickly. And to start with the company overview, we are a leading consumer product company. I think it's a household name in India also and globally also. Not turnover is not like a BPCL, but still close to $17 billion in sales. Our products are being getting sold in 200 countries. And our core business is mainly on oral care, personal care, household care, and pet nutrition also. Pet nutrition is more of a, we call it a different brand, which is a Hills. Not many of you guys would have family unless you have some pets at home, and you would have seen some of the Hills products. In India, mainly we are known for toothpaste, toothbrush, like the Colgate toothpaste, or the other one is the new one which we launched recently was the sensitive toothpaste. Those are the major products, but globally we have a lot of other products, the home care, the household care, and other products also. Yeah. And in terms of in fact, we almost have very close 20 to 25% of sales in every region. You know, if you take Asia, is almost like 19%. In Europe, we almost like 21, or maybe slightly less than that. North America, we almost got 28% of our revenue of 16.7 billion. It's very evenly distributed across the world, actually. Yeah. Okay, one of the key things for Colgate in terms of IT strategy, what I said in the beginning, the reason why we are called as a global IT and not as a local IT, because we only have one IT division which works in the same way wherever you are in the world. And that thinking is being driven through this strategy. And this is where we want to be as far as our end state is concerned. What it means is same systems. As an example, today we only have SAP as an ERP application. 99.7% of our business runs on SAP. We have almost 109 countries from where our users are located at today, and they are all on SAP. So that's why we call it the same systems. Anywhere you go in Colgate, people will be using the same system. So they get to see the same information, same performance, and we are not there as of now in terms of same processes, because there are some challenges, or not challenges I would say, but uniqueness across certain countries. So that has to be maintained, some because of the statutory and some because of the local business practices which are being followed. So that sort of variant. But our end state, we want to be that everyone should be on the same system, same information, same performance, and same processes everywhere. We only use IBM hardware, we only use Microsoft products, we only have email Lotus Notes application throughout the world. So that's helped us in standardizing. That's our goal is. This is the Colgate architecture of application portfolio. And I just want to take some time here, because this is where we work very closely with SAP. We don't treat SAP as a vendor, we work with them as a partner. And that partnership strategy is really helping us out very much. A couple of stuff thinking here. If you look at the systems here, what we have is, we almost have every application in Colgate today. The ECC6 system we have today is by region. Like we have one for Asia Pacific, one for Europe, one for North America, one for Latin America, and one for Hills. But as far as other business suites concerns, like the PLM or the SRM and global HR, these are global systems. So we have some regional system and some global system, but all the ERP systems what we have today, they're all regional systems. We don't have any country-specific systems here. So that's the complexity which we have in our systems, and all these systems are connected to the ERP thing, and some of the systems do have its own portal front end. And you know that ECC6 is mainly a SAP GUI front end, but the global HR system what we have has its own portal front end, and the SRM system what we use is also has a portal front end actually. And then we have a lot of other system in terms of the governance tool. What we call is a GRC. We use Solution Manager, Change Manager extensively in the systems. And in fact, after seeing the morning presentation on Infosys, I thought we should also pitch in on that, because we are one of the, I would say in terms of functionality, highest user of a Solution Manager in the world today. If you can see this, the complex landscape today, all the transport for this system is being managed through Change Manager today. We don't do any transports outside Change Manager. It's a tough thing, but we have put those controls from the beginning, saying that whether it's a web stack or a Java stack, everything is managed through Change Manager. We do use portfolio project management also, and that's mainly for our grid planning and also for resource planning for IT. And then we also are one of the early implementation of identity management. 2 years back, we started with the implementation, and one of the things which we have done is all our IDs, whether it's a SAP ID or a Lotus Notes ID, or if you are having a Windows PC, you need an ADS ID. All the ID creation is done through IDM automatically. So the role assignment piece is the challenge for us. Right now we are managing some from GRC, but our plan is to integrate IDM with GRC so that all the role assignment is also done through that. That's what we're working towards. We have a global MDM systems, which is on .NET, and we also have a global BI systems. We also have a lot of dashboards coming out with the BobJ, which we're using. Recently, we're also working very closely with SAP on HANA, and because we have seen as a quick benefits on HANA in terms of performance. As I said, we have a lot of regional systems. The database size is to the tune of, almost every system is to the tune of 3 to 4 terabytes of each system. So performance is very critical for us, and that's where we're taking advantage of HANA technology, so that some of the reports, which especially the finance guys looks at the month end, because we have monthly closing, and they do have a lot of reporting to be done on the month end level, so a lot of summarization which is being done, and we're taking advantage of HANA. We've done some pilots, we're very successful those one. And we're also trying to work out with SAP on BI, also on HANA also. And we do use the tracks for enterprise search, and we're also working with closely with SAP on some of the mobile solution. We just started on that, but we started to make some beginning on those ones. So this more on application portfolio what we have today. Quickly run through with the, I'll start with the in terms of test management. As an organization, we have been using SAP since the almost, I would say, somewhere in 1990, when it was on more on a Unix platform. That's where we started as a system, first in the US. And what I've seen is our system has gone through a lot of different changes over a period of time. Initially, we used to only have one ERP system. Testing was still manageable. But as SAP started coming with a new solution and new dimension products like APO, SRM, that's where we started to increase more complexity. Every time we do an upgrade, it becomes more complex than the previous one. And that's why it's making our life more difficult. So these are one of the challenges which we are seeing here. And again, the changes are getting the number of changes are growing every year after year. And the expectation is how fast can we get it done. So that's where we're looking out for opportunities where we can do it. And it's quite getting common. Initially it was only a upgrade or a support pack upgrade or a release upgrade. And now with SAP coming with the EHP and support pack, it becomes more necessary for us. If you don't go into the EHP, then you are losing out on the new functionality. And if you don't go on the new functionality, you may end up doing a lot of custom solution. In fact, I'm quite happy to inform you that we use a lot of standard functionality, and we don't change any SAP standard code, actually. But that doesn't mean that we can avoid testing. Okay. And as the things are growing, in fact, this is a challenge for every business today. Is every time you think that IT has given a solution, now it's more stable and you can move forward with that. But we have seen that the things are changing. Mobility is coming pretty ahead of us, and in fact, business is looking out for more faster solution. And we are also trying to work with SAP again on mobility and see that some of the solution we're trying to pilot on the, like some of the things we had already done, like all of our collaboration tool to all the employees is now accessible through any of these smart devices, Android or BlackBerry or anything, like, because these are minimum risks where you can give it to the business or to anybody in IT. So that has been done. But to roll out any ERP applications or any other business suites on mobility needs a lot of development and effort. So that's why we're working with SAP. If that comes up, I think that will add more complexity when it comes to testing. The other key thing is, as always, whenever you do any change and you ask business that this year I'm going to plan this upgrade and we need so many of business resources, it's a very difficult thing in our organization to get business resources as and when you demand. So we really need to, that's why we have a very good, strong grid planning process. What we do there is every year, like sometime during this time, between July to September timeframe, October timeframe, we finalize the grid, what we want to do it in 2013, 2014. So we know that what are the work which will be done on those years. So, and that's why we plan very well. These are the business resources we'll need it. And what we have seen in a period of time, the testing consumes a lot of not only IT resources, but also business resources. And the key reason for us is we can't avoid business because we are a SOX company from US. All our testing has to be signed off by the business before we can move any change to production. So that's why it's getting challenged. These are challenges which Colgate is facing when it comes to the auto testing, because there is always a question for us, are we too late into this game? So these are challenges which we had earlier. I'll just take you through in terms of where we are today in terms of the current situation. The advantage Colgate has, as I said earlier, that we are one of the extensive user of solution manager, and the reason why I make this statement was because we are today using the SAP test workbench for almost every project what we do in Colgate today. Okay, so people are very familiar with the blueprint, the the test packages, the test plans, what Sanjay covered earlier. So very familiar with that actually. So we have almost 1,600 plus users on the systems anytime doing some sort of work on solution manager, especially on the test plan management. Sanjay presented the numbers are pretty high, but we are not there. What we have is we have a lot of variants within the same scenarios. So I would say that roughly we have almost 1,000 manual test scripts, and within those manual test scripts you can have a number of steps. Can vary. So that's a complexity which takes a lot of time, and we haven't done. We don't have any automation as of now actually. But what we have done in a small way, I'll share that in a subsequent slide. As we are getting into this complexity, we also evaluated a lot of tools, like SAP TOW was one of the options. HP Mercury was the earlier one which they had. We also looked into that. We also evaluated QTP couple of years back, and in fact we did use QTP in one of our upgrade project also. But we took that as a good learning. And then we also worked with IBM, like the way we partnered with SAP, we also partnered with IBM on Rational. But then what we found was it's not working on all the UI environment, what we really need for actually. So this is where we are today. And that's where the thought process started, is because Colgate is an organization, since we have strategy of same system, and we don't want to do any development, and whatever we have, if we can leverage that. And that's why we partnership with SAP, and we put the development request. What Rajiv Golapudi presented in his slide, the test option 1, that's what we choose. And that was the plan for us to choose the test option 1 by integrating any tool. What it means is we can, as a customer, we can decide what auto testing tool we want to use. But we want to integrate that tool with the test workbench and solution manager. And because one of the points I just want to highlight, whenever you guys want to evaluate any tool, you also need to understand what the cost involved in that. Because every tool has a number of modules, and every module will offer you different features, but it comes with a cost. And the cost is very exorbitant, So unless you see a return of investment, which I'll cover later on, then only you can really decide. So it's company to company. That's why we thought, since the tools are expensive, we already have some sort of a quality gateway, what the other tools are offering into the solution workbench. So we want to utilize that so that we can make, in terms of the cost, we can save on that. So we can also get the advantage of the investment what we have made in solution manager here. The other advantage of using solution manager is it gives you a more integrated solution. So you have one repository where every testing what you do is residing in that area actually. But I think Sanjay covered pretty well, how they actually setting on the blueprint and everything. As of now, we did look into the BPCA also, and I'll cover that more in detail. Right now, we are on Solution Manager 7.1 on SP2, SP1. Okay, we are on SP1. We did the pilot with SP2, but then there are a couple of reasons why we didn't continue. The new functionality which we asked SAP on test automation was available in the SP1, so we went ahead with that. So we evaluated that, we found that successful, and we took the decision that we'll go with test option 1. And I'll take you through what the path we followed in terms of moving towards that. Yeah. Okay. What was our objective when we were looking out for a test automation tool? Our objective was very clear. We are looking out for something which is very simple to use. And like some of the things you will always have in mind, why we didn't went for rational, why we didn't went for tau or other thing. What I've seen in some of these tools, you need some sort of a coding skill also. That they will generate some code, and you need to make sure that you need to understand how that code is generating. The code can be in form of Java or Visual Basic. And that's where we thought, if we have to build that, which means that the people we have in the organization today now need to learn additional things. So that's why we thought that we should be easy to use, no languages required, pretty fast to implement, that quickly you can, because one of the learning what we are seeing, because we also did a lot of research and everything, what we found is, whatever time you spend today in the manual testing, not everything can be automated. There is some time which will still remain as a manual, so you have to keep that thing in mind. And if I ask Gartner, they will tell you that 20% of your total testing time can only be automated, which means that if you're spending 10 days of testing, maybe you can still save 2 days of that, because a lot of time which goes in coordination, follow-up, fixing, other thing, that will, in some cases, will still remain, So that's where the learnings are coming out. So we want to use something which is very fast, which is also very complete, because we are not looking out for a solution which only works on one SAP environment, that is one SAP GUI UI. We want to look at a solution which works on all types of UI, whether it's a .NET or Java or a web stack or anything which SAP has in our environment. So we want to look for those sort of things. And as things are changing at your application layer, and that tool should be able to support it with a minimum maintenance. Every time you will do a support pack or EHP upgrade, there will be some changes to the object. But we want to make sure that whatever the auto testing script what we have developed, they don't go through a lot of rewrite sort of a thing. So it has a less sort of maintenance to work for that. So this is the sort of the basis which we formed when we selected in terms of what tool we want to use. This was the test one option, what we used actually with SAP. That is, we'll have a business blueprint setup, which will integrate with the test workbench. Then we have the test workbench, which will, from where the script will get executed. And all your reporting, everything will be done through this. Then you can also run through with what we have done is we have selected a company called Worksoft, because we also work with very closely with SAP. And SAP also recommended us to use Worksoft as one of the vendor, because SAP also did some sort of evaluation integrating their tool. They have a testing tool called Certify. It's a US-based company. It's not a very well-known company actually, but after Colgate has worked with them, I think they have become more known into some of the world, because they have been using our name in many places, and which is good for us. And they have a tool called Certify. It doesn't require any language. You don't need to know any language. It's all object-oriented. There's no coding required. There's zero coding required, I would say. And only thing, they've given you some options called logical, through which you can control some changes if you want to build some special things on that actually. Yeah. So this is how the whole the test option one works for that. But I'll take you through more detail in the subsequent slide. Yeah. Similar screen to what Sanjeev was showing earlier. Now this is the Colgate list of business processes what we have done. These are the slightly higher level in terms of customer service logistic. So these are various, I'll give you numbers later on. These are various processes where we have defined for each of the business processes. We have to define the test case. This test case will link you to the third-party tool, which in our case would be a Worksoft Certify. So that's how the integration is done with that. But behind the scene, you have to do a one-time setup. But after that, it's very seamless. It works pretty well, actually. Yeah? So on the benefits, what we are seeing is the central manage. As I said in the beginning, we are a global organization. We just need to we can't have a regional-based solution. We need to have a lot of global-based solutions. Since we have a global IT division, we want to manage everything from one central place, and we are setting up the test framework which will run from one place. Yeah. So just we want to make sure that everything is done centrally managed. We don't want to implement a solution which needs a regional or a local support. So everything is managed centrally. So it can be run for any process, any projects in the world. And one of the key things for us is, as an example, like a country like Europe or a region like Europe has got 30 countries. We need to make sure that all 30 countries, when they use SAP, they will have a different scenarios, they will have different sets of data, different organization hierarchy. So we need to make sure that the data management strategy is very clear. So as of now, we are working with SAP, we are using data management strategy in form on the certified tool. We are not using on the solution manager side, because there were a few issues which SAP has now addressed it. And when we go into SP5, or actually our plan is to go to SP8 next year, not SP5 this year. And then we will take those thinking, where it means that even my data can also now reside in solution manager. So you don't need to, right now we're using the certified tool. They have something called as a record sets, where you can also import, export data, or you can store your data which will always reside there, and whenever you want to do testing, you can always call back those things. So the issue which you have in terms of the refreshing, I think we'll also have the same issue, because your data in the test system will get wiped out. We normally do refreshes only when we do the enhancement packs upgrade. Otherwise, we try to avoid that actually. Okay, so and also the expand our test coverage. That's other benefit we've seen is, because many times when we decide about any projects or business wants some change, we understand there is a testing involved. So testing can influence your decision whether to go or no go for that. And also, like some of you said, the regression testing has to be done. It's always a challenge, because it's always an IT responsibility to make sure that the process works. Business just want to make sure, because business doesn't want to get involved into the regression testing, because it's saying, the subsidiary saying nothing is changing for me, I'm not getting any benefit out of that. Why you want me for testing? Unless something changes for him, then you can ask him to test. If there's nothing changed for him, then he doesn't want to get involved in testing. So it means that auto testing now will give you that flexibility that you can cover more coverage, more scenarios. So you can do a level where business can rely more on the auto testing results. Save cost, definitely. I think the cost of doing manual testing is pretty high, because one is you need resources, and then you know that if there are issues, to fix it, those issues, the business impact, the downtime what you get into is pretty high. I'll come back to on the ROI model which we have trying to build into the system, so that everybody in the IT and the business organization understand why, because the IT as an organization, we always get challenged. Why are we making so big investment while we are buying those sort of tools? What benefits I'm going to get it? How fast we can recover the ROI for those investment what we're making? So that's we definitely see a lot of cost benefits coming out of where we are today versus when we do the auto testing completely. Yeah? As I mentioned in the beginning, the key driver is the managing increasing complexity. So with the mobility coming up and the BobJ, the dashboard reporting, the MDM sort of things, new landscapes are getting added, and we are moving towards more global processes. I think that's where we'll see more benefit. One of the major benefits we're going to get for us is in terms of the capacity, because there's always a cap in terms of the number of resources you can have in your teams. So what is going to happen is, as we start to see more benefits from the auto testing, which means that if I have 10 resources earlier and now I'm managing with auto testing, let's say with 6 resources, the incremental resources which I'm getting back now, they can now go back to do more development work for the whole organization. And from the business point of view, so rather than focusing those resources on the IT testing or on the business scenario testing, they can go and work more on the business value addition activities. So that's one of the major benefits we'll get out of this. What are the opportunities for Colgate in terms of testing? One is one of the key benefits, it always comes in auto testing, is whenever you do any EHP upgrade or support pack upgrades, that's where one of the major opportunities. We have seen BPCA, but I think I got a good learning from Sanjay today in terms of how they've used it. I will definitely see those opportunities when we go for SP8 next year. So then we'll look into this. And also it's helping us out in terms of reducing the development cycle today. And we do have a number of projects which runs in parallel, and many times, so once we have reached a situation where every business scenario has been built as automation scripts, then they will form part of the project teams, so that they can reduce the testing times from the number of weeks to less number of days. So that's where we can get to see more benefits, and they can do more regression testing. Global organization, we do have a DR site in our data center is in US. Okay, just I thought if I not it's in US, and our DR site is also in US, but in a different place. And once in a year, we normally do our DR site testing also, where we simulate the actual business scenario, run those scripts. So that will also get automated with this process. And the monthly maintenance, because since the data center is in US and everything is managed in-house internally. We don't have anything outsourced as of now, whether it's a development or business support or functional configuration. Everything is done by in-house IT, and we have monthly maintenance where our technical team, the network, the infrastructure, the bases, everywhere, they bring the systems down. They do some sort of a system admin activities every once a month, and during those downtime, when they bring the system up, we do run some scripts just to make sure that the system has come up pretty well. There are no issues in terms of accessing data before we release to the business. So there's a monthly maintenance activity. I'll show you some benefits what we've seen in the subsequent slide. Yeah. One of the keys, whenever we run any projects or any major changes, what we do, one of the steps what we do is we have a number of round of testing. Like it's not that you will do the unit testing. Once your unit testing goes through, okay, you will do the integration testing. And then that's the time when we get business involved in testing. We call it a day in the life, where we simulate how in a real life scenario business will test it. So what we're proposing with this model is every day in the life test for every project must run through with the automation. So there's other opportunity which we have in Colgate, automating that. So this is the ROI. This is the ROI model which I was referring to, because when we are evaluating various tools and we looked into different options, and what we've asked is, once you automate, how are you going to get the benefit out of this? How you will make sure that the value what you're spending on those one is going to this. So what we did was, we looked into for the last few years of data into our systems. We found out that how many projects we ran in those years. We also evaluated in terms of how much time was spent on the testing. We looked into the overall time and found that this much of time which was spent, we converted those time into the number of FT or resources, and this was both business and IT. And that's where we found that if we can automate this percentage, this is where your saving will come, and this is where business will. So this is based on this strategy, ROI strategy. We are making investment. We are marching on automation actually. Okay, what I've shared with you so far more in terms of how we went in terms of the evaluation, and this is where we, in the beginning of 2011, we put a plan in place for auto testing. We said that let's shortlist the vendor first, and also evaluate the solution manager, because this is the first time an SAP has built the test workbench, which has the integration facility with certificate. We want to evaluate that, make sure that it works fine. So this is the roadmap which we did. So after we had done that, we did the POC, and then we did the solution manager upgrade, because our solution manager was not on the right version. So we went with 7.1 and SP1. We also installed Certify. We are accessing the Certify software through Citrix. Okay. Because since our data center is in US and there's a latency issue, so we're using Citrix to access that. We integrated that, and we put some of the best practices. One of the challenge for us is, like when you write a code in ABAP, there are different people will write code in different ways. So it's very important that when you're building your strategy for auto testing, make sure that the way you're structuring your scripts or the business scenarios, they have a very good naming convention, so that not only the reusability, because like in case of order to cash, an example, when you create a sales order with VA01, you can create sales order in 100 different ways, and sometimes those can be a different business scenarios. Like you want to create an order with credit check, order without a credit check, so they are counted as two different. But when you develop this code into using a Certify, you can use the same object multiple times. But to use that object say multiple times, which means that people need to be consistent in terms of naming conventions. So we have defined some good practices and naming standards upfront. So as we march into this, so where we are today is we have done the solution manager integration surface, the testing. We have done some of the automation. We also did a couple of evaluation, and based on that, we have built the plan for 2012. So I'll take you through in subsequent slide. This is the roadmap what we are following in Colgate as of now. In the proof of concept, we had SAP, Colgate and Worksoft, they came to in our Mumbai office, and we all partners together, we worked together so that we could evaluate, we could give our feedbacks to them. Colgate got some learning, SAP got some learning. We worked jointly, and that's why we decided to go ahead with this. Some of the POC results, what we did was we took different environment. That was quite key for us. One of the questions which one of you guys asked, why you're using BSP, and we use this notif create BSP we are using today to create the service message, and it has 32 steps. If you have to create that manually a service message, let's say business has an issue in application, he has to follow 32 steps to create the service message. It takes 20 minutes. Through automated testing, it took 92 seconds when the code was developed. Yeah. So that tomorrow if I do a solution manager upgrade, and if I want to use the same notif create, I can just use the automation script and run those multiple times. No need to run manually. So these are the learning. These are our experiences from POC when we did. This was on change manager. We also picked a few of the sales distribution, which we call as the demand, the FICO and supply scenario also, like the sale operation, like some of these transactions. We took more of an integrated scenario so that we get a good feel in terms of what are we getting into. Because one thing we have realized, the developing script is a big effort, and it's as big effort as doing one big upgrade. So it has to be correctly what Sanjay said. It has to be treated as a separate project with a dedicated team. You just can't have a dual responsibility and make that's not going to work if you really want to have a quick gain out of this. So this is the approach we follow in terms of supply chain, demand chain, number of steps we go into this, and this is what we've shown into our senior management. And in fact, we've shown them the demos because we are a global organization. I have to make sure that all our regions, everyone is getting aligned to this one, because at the end it has to be used by everybody. So these are some of the benefits which we saw when we did the POC. So we continue to march on the plan, and then after the POC was done, we also did a pilot for that actually. We didn't, because since it needs a lot of efforts, we need to plan our resources. We just can't ask for resources as and when we want. We really need to plan our resources. So that's why we did two pilots. One was in New Jersey and another was in Mumbai. And we definitely, because we didn't have the knowledge on certified, because how to record a script, we need to build that knowledge. We also need to work with SAP to understand some of the integration, what need to be done with solution manager. So like they have something called as a test data container, test system container. So these are some of the things which one need to learn and see how integration has to be worked. So those sort of stuff we worked from here actually. So we got a number of people here from Colgate office which worked on this. And we also covered APO systems and other things. Some learning which I have not covered here is few things we have seen is we are not putting automation on some of the reports because it doesn't make sense to automate reports. It doesn't make sense to automate background jobs because they're already automated. So you're not going to gain out of that. So something which we didn't do that. We only took all the transaction level. Wherever the screens are involved, interactive action is required and the steps are more. We took those automation. The other thing which we avoided was we never took the master data automation because like a material master, it has got a number of views. I'm sure if you want to automate and if you have to provide data for that, may take more time in automating it than doing it manually. So we took some decision up front saying that some of the master data screens we will not automate because either they are too complex in terms of making development and too complex to maintain data for those ones. It will take a lot of time. So that's why we didn't do that. So we took more of a transition level. And wherever the integration is involved between two systems, let's say SAP EC6 system with the APO system, SAP EC6 system with the warehouse management system, we did those also as the automation testing. So there are benefits in those ones. So this was the plan which we built, overall plan. We said that let's finalize the global bundle, what we want to use in terms of naming convention standards. We said that since we have monthly maintenance, which is a small step for us, it's done once in a month on a Sunday, and which we already automated. I'll show you some gains on that. And then we said that let's go ahead with the Europe ERP system first, which is on EC 6.0. And then our plan is to do the Asia ERP for 2012. So this is the plan which we are marching towards in terms of automation. Because what it means is we have to develop scripts for all those business scenarios. Unless scripts are ready, you can't just automate it. So first we are building the automation, which means that we'll set up the blueprint, we'll set up the automation scripts, integrate with solution manager, and then we'll give it to all the project teams and the support team, and they can just start running themselves actually. Okay, how does it work? This is the process flow. If you're familiar with Solution Manager, you have to make sure that every project in Solution Manager is existing. You built your all your scripts through test automation. You do some of the configuration in Solution Manager. Okay, and you launch your certifies third-party tool from Solution Manager. And when you launch it, what are the scripts which you have developed here? You can also record. You have to record those scripts. So this is more of a development cycle actually. Yeah? So there's something called the record testing or live touch, which means that when you launch certify, it will, what are the screen which you open based on the test data what you're given and the transaction what you're given here, it will capture that screen for you and it will store those into the certify as a test script. So that's where we found that you just need to touch those objects which you're using on the screen, and then automatically system creates a script for those ones. So there's no coding required in this case. So that's one of the benefits. The advantage we see with this approach is tomorrow when SAP upgrades, if they move those fields anywhere in the screen, I don't need to change my script. They should work. Only thing, if SAP adds a new field, then I need to come back and change that. Otherwise, I don't need to do that. So that's why one of the reasons. It also has the flexibility of using variables. So we also using a variable. When the recording is done, the script gets saved here. It comes back to Solution Manager. And the yellow piece, what I'm showing here is more of a development cycle. This is how you develop script through Solution Manager. To execute a script is you need a test plan, test packages, which is the test workbench, what functionality what SAP has. Based on the business blueprint or the BPR, where you define the steps. The only difference what we have done is we are defining the steps in certify, whereas the high level business scenario we are defining in the blueprint. So if I am running an order to cash, which is order, delivery, post-grid issues, billing, all the steps will get defined in the certify, whereas the process will be called as a order to cash in the blueprint, but the steps will be maintained in certify. So we are running more as integrated scenarios. But when you develop script, you will develop script for VA01, VA02, everything. And the development phase, you will say how the value will get passed from the output of previous step into as an input for the next step. That happens automatically. So there's no manual intervention is required. So that's how we are integrating all the scenarios. So when the script gets executed, it goes into the certify screen and execute the script. It records the results. If there are errors, it will record the results and push it back to Solution Manager. Initially, it was there in certify, but we worked with SAP and got those logs automatically updated into Solution Manager. The advantage with this is approach for us is I don't need these users who are running the script from here. They need to have certify license. Otherwise, you will need, in some cases, if people have to see the results in certify or execute scripts in certify, they will need a login into certify to get that license, which is not required in this case, because the more number of times you log in into here, you will need those many users license. So that's other advantage. By integrating through execution, through Solution Manager, you can save on that. Okay, quick win on the monthly maintenance, which we are already live with. Mainly monthly maintenance is a activity which is done by the infrastructure team, where they bring the system down, they do their administration activities just to make sure that all the OS, the database, if they want to run some jobs from the system point of view, everything is okay, then they bring the system up. The functional guys will then go into the system and then run some transitions. So like as an example here is we have 7 systems we have done monthly. Actually we have more number of systems, but we only automated 7 systems as of now. We have 36 transition code. Like in the manual testing used to take 530 minutes, whereas manual used to take 530, now it's take 115. So this is a small saving. But this, what it has done is, it has given a good feeling of the tool and the exposure to the people, how the automation thing works. Because there are different ways of doing it. We took a small step at a time. We said that let's go with a small thing first, understand the tool first, understand the integration first, get the knowledge, and then take the more complex one actually. So this has given us a good learning. The benefit what we have seen here is, if initially when the system has to be released to the business after 5:30 minutes, now it can be done after 150 minutes. So that downtime for the business has got reduced. So that's a major benefit for us. Now the next step is for us to move into the Europe automation, which is the Europe business processes on ECC 6.0. Right now all our automation is focusing on ECC 6. We haven't looked into APO and CRM yet, because there are different technologies. Like CRM uses the HTML, Flex, and other screens. So that need to be done separately. So we are right now using the GUI. What we have done for Europe is we have defined the business blueprint. We already done the what are the business scenarios. Now other thing is, when the point, who is going to develop script for you? If you want to get your functional people who are doing the configuration, the IT people who are doing the functional configuration and functional testing, normally they are the right people. But in the global environment, when you're sitting, that if some change is being done by some team in some part of the world, how does he communicate that change back to your team? So either he can share the screen back to the development team so they can record the scripts based on those steps, or if the person who is very familiar with this transition, then he can do it himself. So what we have done is we have most of a functional team, the sales and distribution, the supply and finance, similar to your approach, Sanjay. We have picked a few guys in each team. We have trained them on auto testing. So they know how to record scripts. They are self-sufficient after training by SAP and certified Worksoft. They've been trained. They have that competency to manage that show. Today they are managing it themselves. So they have been trained and they have been building those scripts. But if they need any help here, they're not familiar with the steps, then how do you share those changes? So there's a tool called UPerform, which is another third-party tool, which can also allow you to build capture screens. But in fact, Certify also has now come back with the tool for capturing screen also. So we also exploring that option also, because one of the advantages with Certify, which I just want to mention, is when you're recording script, it can also capture screens for you. So if you're in a VA01 screen 1, screen 2, and you want to capture the full screen and put it as a log, you can do that also. That's available with Certify. But we are using UPerform here mainly for to communicate changes where it has to be, so that sometimes the functional guys don't get confused. He knows exactly what field in the screen he needs to live touch so that he can record that correctly. So for here, what we have done is we have built the test plan. We have also defined all the record sets which are going to be used for as a data strategy, and then execution can be done. So this is what we have worked out with the support organization, and we got those things done. As an example, like the order to cash scenarios, these are transitions which got into this, and we recorded everything. Here is a summary for Europe, what we have built so far. We have 167 transactions which has been done for them, which covers 42 scenarios overall. And in fact, the number of scenarios can be more than 42. But what we have done here is, if the steps are same, but the business process is different, because country by country, they use a different order type or different sales org. We are not calling that as a different steps. We're calling it the same steps. So these are more standard processes what we have. So which means that if I run these processes for 30 countries in Europe, it should be able to, at least 70 to 80% of the business should be able to use these scripts. That's our goal actually. So this is what we have done for Europe as of now. Now we are trying to implement these. So we have already done with one project team. They have done some pilot for supply and demand chain, where they have done these 12 things. They have seen some benefits. So now we need to start extending that to all the projects what we do in Europe. In fact, our plan is next year to do the upgrade of Europe system to EHP 6. Right now they're on EHP 4. When we do for EHP 6, we're going to use all these scenarios. Okay, what's the beyond 2012? A lot of learning which we got. It's a lot of work one time. The advantage what we have is whatever we have developed for Europe, With some minor changes we can use for Asia, North America, Latin America. That's the advantage what we have. Because VA01, the way it's configured is almost same. There is small variation, which will be, I would say that small efforts for us. But some of the learning which we got, we can apply there. We just need to make sure that what are the critical business scenario what we have, we will automate those one. We are also going to analyze once we upgrade to SP8. We also evaluate the BPCA. We haven't done that because in the beginning when we worked with SAP, the way they were explaining us the T-bomb, it was highly complex. But I think the way you explained today, I thought it's become more easier to use it. And the other thing was, I think they were not ready with BPC in SP1. I think it's now more matured, and that's why we want to take more advantage of this actually. And we want to expand it more globally. In summary, we have a good collaboration with SAP. I think I would like to appreciate SAP support on this. I think without their close participation with us, would not have been successful. It's not at India level, but it's at Waldorf level. It's developer to developer. Like my counterpart, Warren Kaufman, he works very closely with them in driving these changes. We also participated with SAP on 7.1. We are also responsible for SAP to certify Worksoft because it was a good joint partnership. So far in our organization, we have trained 36 people on certify, how to use certify. Because this is one of the big challenges, because as we start expanding usage, we may need more people to get trained. And that's where, and plus for a global organization, we may have to train more people in other part of the world also. In fact, we are the first country in the world, Colgate is the first country to use test option 1 in Solution Manager. We always feel proud about that. So I just want to bring it here. So the next thing is to use it in all the future EHP upgrade and start to look for better ROI results. Okay, that's it. Any question? Yeah?
Instead of using QC/QTP, other than cost, what was the parameter of selecting certify?
Certify, apart on the cost, I would say one is the integration with SAP was one of the major benefit. The other was the coding is not required. You don't need to build skills to know Visual Basic or Java, what other tool will require.
But
so
I think
this
QC/QTP do the same thing, like screen capturing and replaying that thing. So, and then it gives a tight integration with SAP in terms of C-based integration and other things. So, I think if you can throw light, because is it more integrated than?
I think we have to. I think we have to understand that there are two different options that we're talking about. Yeah, I talked about test option 1 and 2.
Okay,
what
fine.
Colgate is using is option 1, where these tools like Worksoft or QTP, which we are giving free, by the way, 2 licenses. So those are integrated into Solution Managers. So there you have an option of either using HP QTP, Quick Test Professional, as a scripting tool, or Worksoft, which is also integrated, or any other tools which are integrated.
Worksoft is also integrated with SAP.
With SAP.
It has a C-based direct integration.
No. So that's again, so that integration, what you use, for example, with Tau and Quality Center, is entirely a different option like what Mr. Sanjay has presented. What BPCL is also using that option 2. Yeah. What Colgate is using is what we call as option 1, where at the end, the tools are the same, whether it is QTP used in option 1 or QTP used in option 2. So Colgate is using option 1. So I think that's where the difference is. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.